Yes, this is the way it was. The three of us besieged in the college library. Then suddenly to find out that one of us is a traitor.
Sit down, Josh. Don't be a hero with a broken head. Open the door, John. Johnny, I said open it. Sorry, Johnny, but I couldn't see you becoming a part of that wrecking crew.
All of us come to crossroads in life, choosing which road to take from that day. Long after, we wonder what life would have been had we taken the other way. Let me introduce the three of us. This is John Smith, honor student, football star, Vietnam veteran. Yet, somewhere along the way, he chose the road to anarchy and self-destruction. This is one of his ancestors, Jonathan Smith, who gave his life for his country back in 1776. I am Sam Hardin, History Department, this university. It isn't often we get a second chance in life, a chance to go back and take the other way. Let's see if we can work out an allegorical second chance for John Smith, and incidentally see what we can come up with for ourselves. Will it be tragedy or hope? To go back a ways, back to when John Smith came in here tonight, we had reason to think he was here to protect the valuable medical books from the rioters. Imagine the shock when we find he's really here to let the rioters in. Now, why should a normally decent, normally intelligent young person like John Smith choose the road to communism over America and freedom? For one thing, our youth of today are the object of the most extensive, intensive, diabolical campaign ever conceived. Organized and directed by our and their worst enemies. On many of our nation's platforms, radical speakers make a well-paid living going around, many of them subsidized by the communists, telling our young people what's wrong with America. On such a platform, we have seen many self-proclaimed communists and revolutionaries, radical spokesmen for various groups and professions, and sometimes even prominent political figures, all joining in a movement with which the subversive communists plan to destroy America. And why do so many of our young people fall for it? Some of it, of course, is mass hysteria, not stopping to think things through, not stopping to analyze the character or the motives of who's talking. A typical line from such rabble-rousers is,
"If America don't come round, America should be burnt down."
Why do they swallow a line like this? Well, they think they want to be different. They want to do their own thing, lead their own life, which too often means wreck their own life. It is true, there are things wrong in this country. There are social and economic inequities. They are being leveled off more and more all the time. But not by scenes like these. And not by our friend John here, so far. In fact, he's a prime example of what's wrong today. To begin with, he's a victim of irresponsible parentage. He has missed the stabilizing influence of a good home and religious upbringing. He has been listening to the wrong people. He has gone in for drugs, loose morals, and wanton destruction. He blames it on what's wrong with America. Well, maybe it's time some of us should start reminding him what's right with America.
What's going on here?
Oh, excuse me, Johnny. I was just, I'm just can't get over it.
When I think of the telecandles we had, and now this electricity. Electricity. Well, that's what I say, this electricity. And all the other things you got. I'm glad I come back to see him. Well, like I told you, we've been hearing things in the spirit world on how this country's going to perdition in a handbasket. Well, now that I see what our country's become, in spite of her shortcomings, well, I might be old-fashioned to say this, Professor, but, doggone it, Johnny, I'm going back to being proud of America.
And just ignore the things that are wrong, right?
I didn't say that. You're not listening to me.
No, but that's part of the attitude, Jonathan. It's part of being the radical. I mean, even in your day, you must have heard, there's none so blind as he who will not see, and none so deaf as he who will not hear.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so.
Well, our friend John here, your descendant, in that one sentence he has illustrated the two basic tenets of being the true radical. He takes what you say, and then deliberately twists it around. And then he accuses you of doing the very thing he's doing himself.
He is?
Don't listen to him. He's only trying to confuse you.
He is.
Well, just answer me this. Now, he didn't say this, but let's suppose he had. You imply that it's wrong to ignore all the things that are wrong in this country.
Well, of course it's wrong.
All right, then why isn't it just as wrong to ignore what's right in America?
Because there's more wrong than right.
Oh, no, come on now, John. Look, you've got a notebook there. Just make note of some of the things that are right, huh? All right, now how do you judge a country? Where should we begin? Maybe we ought to start with the number of people that want to move here compared to the number of people that want to get away, huh? Remember, there are no walls or barbed wire to keep people here who don't want to stay. I've noticed even the ones who complain the loudest don't want to leave. Compare them with the millions who want to get in. Every year, people risk their lives to escape other countries, hoping to reach America. Many die trying. And why do they think it's worth risking their life to get here? Freedom. That's the answer. And the highest living standard in the world.
Not for everybody. Not in the slums and the ghettos.
On the contrary, it's one of the harsh realities of life that every country has its different levels of subsistence. But bracket for bracket, even the poorest here live much better than their counterparts anywhere else in the world. To have good living conditions, you have to have good working conditions, both in and outside the home. We have the best working conditions both places. An infinite variety of home appliances, furnishings, and services to make housework immeasurably easier. On the farm and in the factory, the number and variety of power tools, ingenious machines, and labor-saving techniques make the job so much easier for the working man. Now, what does all this add up to, huh? Look, here we are. We make up 6% of the world's population. And yet we produce more than 50% of its manufactured goods. Our little 6% right here produces as much as the rest of the world combined. Now, isn't that remarkable? The average American citizen's living standard, measured in wealth and purchasing power, is twice that of the average citizen of other countries, 3 times better than most countries, and 4 times better than Russia. Now, doesn't that begin to tell you something?
Sure, if you want to measure greatness by purely selfish materialism, sure.
All right, then how do you want to measure it?
Well, there are other values, you know.
No, wait a minute, just a minute. What's wrong with this type of materialism? I mean, it's the difference between life in the jungle and life in civilization. And what other values are you talking about anyway? Cultural? Ethical?
Yeah, among others.
Well, it's materialism that fosters those values, among others. Materialism provides the money with which we can build and equip the most schools, the most churches, the most hospitals, the most libraries, and the most research centers. And as for being purely selfish,